I'm sure.
So Jesus was a real person.
Well, that we don't know. That is
What?
not.
I mean that. It's not.
But I find that intellectually embarrassing.
It's-
We don't know the big questions. We don't know how we got here. We don't know why we're here. We don't know how the universe started. We're alone in the universe. You know, is there a God? What is the nature of God? Which one is the right God? We just don't. Nobody knows. I mean, that's why they call it faith.
Do you hope you're wrong? That's the most important question.
That's a great question.
Do you hope there's a heaven? I don't know how somebody as intelligent as you, and I'm not trying to offend you.
You cannot believe in a virgin
hold
birth?
on. Time out. Hold on. All of that takes faith, I acknowledge, but that all of the fine-tuning of our universe.
Bill Maher presses Charlie Kirk on Christianity and religion. So let's get right into it, guys. This one's absolutely fantastic. Here we go.
And you're going to have more?
God willing. Yeah.
God willing. Right. Right. And you know, we don't see eye to eye on the religion thing.
You know,
But-
someone told me that.
I got to tell you, you should see my movie, Religion.
I actually saw it.
Oh, really?
And to your credit,
Thank you.
what you did on Islam was awesome.
The other one's not so much. That's right, buddy. That's
Secondly,
good.
so if you just isolate the Islamic part.
But it was funny. Come on.
Secondly,
Jesus.
to your credit, you treated woke like a religion,
Yes.
and you criticized them with the same
Yeah,
intensity and
yeah,
ferocity
yeah.
you did, and you deserve a lot of credit for
Oh,
that.
thank you. I
No, I mean
appreciate
that
that.
because you looked at it as this has a
Right.
catechism, it has religious type
Totally.
undercurrents, it has almost a metaphysical presence to itself, and so you're an equal opportunity.
Well,
Critic.
I mean, yeah. And it's funny because the director of Religulous, Larry Charles, and I had dinner about a year ago, and I suggested, and of course it went nowhere because we're both too old to like really act on it. But I said, people keep asking me, and I'm sure him also, to do Religulous too. But when they say it, they think now we're gonna go to India and make fun of the Hindus. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Okay, I'm not going to India, and the Hindus aren't that funny. Okay, we did it. The movie did great, and we love that it stands the test of time, and people always keep coming up to me and seeing it. Movies are amazing that way. But I said, somebody gave me a great idea. Why don't we do Religulous too? But the religion is wokeness. And then that's what I was suggested. And I said, yeah, but then you're going to have to do the right side of it too, because that's also a religion. Christian nationalism. I mean, come on. Your boys, some of the people I think you're fond of, they mix religion and politics in a way that I think is...
Yeah, I would agree with that to some extent. I think there's certain things that cross over, like abortion, like murdering, like LGBTQ stuff. But that shouldn't be, just because you are a Republican does not mean you're a Christian. Just because you are a Democrat does not mean you're not a Christian. Like, I think you're probably wrong on some things. But you could be an independent. You know, like I would never want to say like I'm a Republican. No, obviously I don't think Jesus obviously wasn't on any side, but he did say give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Give to God what belongs to God.
According to the Constitution, but I have to tell you, give you a lot of credit. I saw a video of yours where you were talking about how Christy the original documents were, which is, I mean, my view is that the founding fathers, we know a number of them were deists. Mostly that was their religion. But you did, and you have your facts down. I mean, you can spiel when you get on a subject like this.
I got the shtick down.
You really do. And I trust you. I'm going by what but that they were a little Christier than I thought, and I'm always happy to learn new information. And if it doesn't satisfy people that I don't stay exactly where I am, it satisfies the people who are actually my fans, who always want me to do that, to be like, oh, if I take in new information. I mean, that's why, the far left hates me because I went to the White House and said, well, privately, Trump's different.
Yeah, and I think it's hilarious that he used to just completely grind and talk so bad about religion, but now he is more in favor of values that come from religion. like he's changed over time, because you see that the new atheism, their materialistic worldview falls apart.
Good for you for saying
Yeah,
that.
and I didn't give an inch on anything I believe. I confronted him on things that I think, he probably maybe never hears from anybody else, but that's not good enough for them because, they had to. But no, if you take in new information, just tell me. And so I do think after listening to your spiel that, yes, they were a little more into Jesus than I thought. I mean, I know Jefferson wrote that Bible and
He heavily edited it.
took all the miracles out. He took all the religiosity out of it and just made him
A moral teacher.
a moral philosopher. Now, you have to admit, that's not exactly the act of a Christy person.
No, but at least he acknowledged that there was something profound there.
Right.
Got to give him credit for that.
I could even acknowledge that.
Okay, that's good. No, I'm glad to hear you say
well,
that.
as it-
Wait, you can. He can acknowledge now that there's some spirituality, or that there's still at least a God. I mean, I don't think he took away that Jesus was a God. He just took away that he performed miracles.
Jesus, as a philosopher, was a true revolutionary. I mean, when he said the meek shall inherit the earth, I think the response was,
Blessed are the peacemakers. Right.
yeah. But the idea that it gets good in the next life was fairly, I think, revolutionary. And the fact that, if you're a good person in this life, there's a much greater, this is just the pregame. You want the after party.
Don't
And the
think-
after party is just going to be awesome. You're up there with me and my dad, God, and it's just,
What do you think
Okay, before he asks this really good question, I think it's interesting the difference what people miss. Some people who are not very well versed in Christianity is they miss the idea of thinking that you just need to be a good person. And what Jesus came to say and to reveal is that none of us will be good enough at least. And that's why we need Jesus. And that's why he died on the cross for our sins. So I hope he really comes to understand that.
create a better society or better action? People that think that there is an afterlife based on how you act, or people that think there isn't one?
That's a great question because it certainly can turn people either way. It can make you fly planes into a building. I'm not speaking of any specific example.
I can't think of anything.
I can't either. But it can make you do that. You'll admit that.
Yikes.
Sure.
Okay.
It could also make you do, like, blow up Oklahoma City, too.
Yes. And it can also,
fully acknowledge.
and I fully acknowledge that it also keeps millions of people in line. Like Mark Wahlberg. I'm guessing without Catholicism, he just looks like a guy who'd be in a lot more trouble. But I think it just has made his life, much more under control.
What's wrong with that though? Like, just to say, like Mark Wahlberg, and to say he would be some completely out of control person. And that could be fair. You could say that about anyone. Like I could say that about myself. Without Jesus, I would be completely out of control, 100%. Because I tend to be very, very selfish, tend to be very, very... But Jesus a lot of times reminds me, wait, it's not all about me. I need to lay down my desires and follow Jesus, and to not do so many stupid things, That's a good thing. He saves us from doing wild and stupid things too.
So there's one. Mark Wahlberg, I think, really benefits from Catholicism. But I think there's lots of people like that. They truly are worried that if they do something out of line, illegal or immoral, that the devil will, in short order after they die, be poking them with a pitchfork, and so they don't do that. And I got to give it up. That is a positive.
Are you at all worried that when a nation becomes too secular, it might not know what it believes? There's no cultural cohesion. There's no glue that keeps it together.
Yeah, but this isn't that nation. This isn't secular. This is a bunch of religious freaks.
Increasingly secular, though.
Well, thank you. I'm trying.
No, but
I appreciate it.
you are quite the evangelist.
I'm interrupting a lot, but this is my channel and I can do whatever I want. So people who hate it, I'm sorry. But I think there's a shift of the secularism changing to now more of a religious or type of at least spirituality, 100%.
Because of no afterlife and no creator.
You know what? It creeps up a little, but people people always are going to want it. People always are going to want to believe a story. It's much better than the truth, which is that things are random. We don't know the big questions. We don't know how we got here. We don't know why we're here. We don't know how the universe started. We're alone in the universe. You know, is there a God? What is the nature of God? Which one is the right God? We just don't. Nobody knows. I mean, that's why they call it faith.
Do you hope you're wrong? That's the most important question.
That's a great question.
That's a good question.
Well, how?
Do you hope there's a heaven?
I love this. I wonder if he's ever been asked this. Because he's like,
I hope they figure out how I can live forever. I like it here with you, Charlie, drinking this and smoking
And
pot.
Fiji,
I'm having a
yeah, that's going to make you not live as long, 100%. And the problem is, he has a good life, probably, I'm assuming. He's wealthy, rich, but a lot of people can't say that. They're broken, hurting, poverty, all over the world. A lot of people hope that there's another life.
time. I really can't imagine it better. I mean, I can't. And maybe it is. I'm sure it is. I'm sure, you know, people have...
But something in you probably hopes that, I don't know,
Yes.
Hitler gets ultimate judgment, or the most evil things, right? Something in you wants to see your loved ones and...
I don't think about Hitler.
No, but there's got to be a desire
A
somewhere.
lot of people just think about Hitler a lot.
Stalin, Mao.
I know,
mean,
but I'm just saying Hitler comes up a lot. He
Fine.
he really...
It's an example. Like, he's the evil of evils, you know? Anyone who betrays you, hurts you, or just completely does evil things, you know, forces someone to have sex with you, like, stuff like that. You hope that there's justice.
that there's a desire that there's something beyond this.
Well,
that is just.
okay. Yes, I do, but I mean, it's very hard to find that justice on earth. Ask an AIDS baby.
No, don't, Bill. That's why when you say, "Hey, I'm happy here," there's a lot of suffering on earth too, and that's the
It is,
that's the Christian argument,
and
right?
some of it is you know, we obviously can see it comes from no bad deed done. You know, children with cancer.
Of course, it's
And then they say, well, that's, you know, God works in mysterious ways, which is sort of a get out of jail card
It's the
for
hardest-
any kind of non-thinking.
admittedly, it's the hardest. We as Christians have to explain unjust suffering. Atheists have to explain everything else.
How do you explain it?
We don't. It's hard. It's a mystery. We can say God works in mysterious ways. We can say original sin. However, we don't have to explain creation or the miracle of life or love or justice or.
We don't have to explain it either because it's not explainable, because we don't know. We say we don't know. That's honest. You say, no, somebody told a story a long time ago, and we're going to stick with that. That to me, I'm not trying to be insulting.
You can't offend me, trust me.
Oh, great.
You can offend me, though. No, I'm just kidding. The thing is, Jesus didn't tell a story. He lived a life. He paid a price for all the pain and the suffering.
So you could be as crude or as blunt.
Okay,
I mean that. It's not.
But I find that intellectually embarrassing.
Is there any part of the Bible you think is true?
Well,
That's a good
No, it's an
true.
important question.
Well,
meaning, like when
certainly-
they were documenting King David, like was King David a real figure?
There are shards of it that are, I'm sure.
So Jesus was a real person.
Well, that we don't know. That is not a definitive.
Okay,
it
so
really is not.
Come on, that's the most obvious one that you have to. Every historian will say that Jesus actually at least was a real person.
Paul. We both agree Paul was legit and a real person. Paul was a Jew, persecuted Jews, and then had his, road to Damascus moment. Why would he do that? Except for the fact that he's crazy or like delusional. What incentive would Paul have to do that? Rich, ruling class, gave up everything.
You're saying to me, is there never a case of human delusion or mass?
Okay, why didn't Charlie Kirk just say there are, even outside of the Bible, 5 other sources, or even more, 5 other sources outside of the Bible writing about Jesus? Secular sources, or at least people who didn't believe Jesus was God, saying that he was an actual real person. Why not go there? There's literally thousands of more documents about Jesus compared to any other historical person, and we still believe they existed. We believe Alexander the Great existed, but they don't want to believe that Jesus existed.
Or people can be.
No,
Why
there's
did
suicide cults, of course there are. No, I acknowledge that.
the capacity, the human capacity to believe what's not true, to believe what you want to believe, is infinite. I mean, you are literally the person I'm talking about at the very beginning of the movie Religulous, because the very first scene, I'm sitting in the car and I'm saying, the movie is not a spiritual quest. I mean, that's what we told them, so they'd sign the release. The movie is me saying, I don't know how it could be that so many intelligent people can wall off a part of their mind and believe in something that part of their mind must know is not true. That's the question I'm going for in Religulous. And like, you're obviously a super smart
Well,
guy.
and respectfully, you go ahead, sure. Yeah.
And again, I don't want to insult you on that. And I appreciate you saying
No, I
that.
mean, Bill, have you seen me go to college campuses? There's nothing that
right,
can
but you understand my question,
and
right?
Interestingly, ironically, I have the same struggle. I don't know how somebody as intelligent as you, and I'm not trying to offend you.
You cannot believe in a virgin
hold
birth?
on, time out, hold on. All of that takes faith, I acknowledge, but that all of the fine-tuning of our universe, if any of those fine-tunings were off, a famous scientist...
Some of them are off.
A famous scientist said, to believe that the universe and the earth in its current composition was an act of randomness would believe that a hurricane would go through a junkyard and assemble a 737 flight-ready Boeing.
He's wrong.
Okay, that's fine, but there are so many fine-tuning aspects to our existence that I think defy the idea that this is all randomness and all chance. Now,
you know that's not logical. You're saying because I don't know the answer, I'm going to assume the answer must be that a divine intervention did it. That's not really a scientific...
Well, look at experiences, though. Has anything that had a beginning in your life, or ever, anything that had a beginning had a cause? What was that cause? So if you look at it from that logical standpoint, that's also something very important. You just can't say we got here and we all evolved from nothing. That's still illogical as well.
Looking at it.
The teleological view, not the cosmological view, is that all of these fine-tunings, when layered up one after the other, it defies, I think, reason to think that this is just a roll of the dice. That when you see a baby come into the world, when you see how we naturally heal, even consciousness itself, I think, is a pretty miraculous thing. To think that's all just a bunch of happy accidents, I think it's more rational to think that that's a byproduct of design.
You're saying some prime mover made it so these things happen. I would say, if a prime mover could do that, why don't skip all the suffering and why don't you just get us to where we're the perfect thing? Why you need things, I don't know, but okay, the perfect being right away. We're somehow on this journey to being, completely immortal and healthy, I guess, and completely moral and don't each other up and don't have children and all the bad things we do.
All the evil of our world.
Yeah,
right.
All the evil and the Holocaust. And why go through all that if you are a prime mover? I assume that means you can do anything, and just get us right to the end, and then we...
Okay.
Just what? Why? Just a little bit...
I would say free will. And I know that's a difficult answer, but free will. He wants people to freely choose to love him, to freely choose to be in relationship with him. And when you don't do that, sin enters into the world. When you choose to be separate from God, you are choosing to not be with him and to be in rebellion with him. But he's not going to force you to love him, because that's not love. Love is freely choosing to be with that person and spend time with that person. I would hate that my wife married me because she felt forced to, or I know that she loves me because she freely chooses to be with me.
Walking around being perfect, I mean, why is that interesting to a God? The whole thing just don't make sense.
So that's a separate question, though, of whether or not there is something behind our existence. I mean, so we believe that the universe started with a Big Bang, Do you agree with that?
Yeah, but that's not the beginning of things. That's just the beginning of what the known universe is. The big question is what was before that.
And we believe it's a
Right.
being, a God. That's
Right.
that's always that's
And
a
it could,
constant.
and look, I mean, you know, the misnomer about atheism is that we say, "Oh, there's no God." No, we just say we don't know. As Richard Dawkins always says, there's theism, which is belief in gods, and they used to believe in many, and then it got to one, and we just believe in one less. So there's just not
How would
a-
you differentiate that from agnosticism?
There isn't.
Okay.
That's another thing that's.
No, I don't. I'm just asking as a good faith question.
No, I think a lot of atheists think that. A lot of people on my team with this, they have that view that, you know, don't split hairs with the atheists and the agnostics. It's like, we're on some part of, I don't know, and I'll never know, so I really don't think about it a lot. I don't get up for church. I try to be a good person because I just think intrinsically it's good for society. It's good for me to be a good person as much as I can. And I don't need the threat of the pitchfork in the to do it.
Can I?
But what if there's people who don't feel like being a good person? What do you tell them? What do you tell them? Hey, you should not be a bad person. Like, you have no right to have any moral outrage when they kick you in the butt, when they steal your wallet. You have no right if there is no God.
Ask a question. So how But you even acknowledge, though, that some people act better if they feel as if they'll be judged eternally.
Totally.
Okay, no, that's a big admission. But
Yes.
how do you think society best determines what is good?
There you go.
That's a great question. I mean, isn't that what government is always wrestling with? What makes society good?
Do you think, even as an atheist, the Ten Commandments, the right side of the Ten Commandments is a good place to
The
start?
right side.
Well, because the left side, I think you'd have a big problem, right?
I have a problem with 8 of the 10 because only 2 of them are laws.
You got a problem with 8 of the 10.
2 of them are laws. Only 2.
What do you mean?
Don't kill
And don't steal. Okay,
and don't steal.
sure.
Like, I mean, this idea that God is
But
this.
you're good with those two.
Like
obviously.
the first 4 are just jealous God. It's just like, you know what?
No,
God,
honoring your parents
like-
is not jealous
like,
God stuff.
God's like a pimp who was in the next room and he said, "Who you on the phone with there, girl?" You know, I mean,
But I mean,
I guess I'm testing that.
hold on. But no, it's again, I'm not
All right.
offendable on this. But I think you could. I know you made fun of it in Religulous, but there's something beautiful about not working for a day.
Oh,
You know what I mean, like
day.
honoring the Sabbath.
A week is even better.
But like,
the Sabbath. No, I mean the Sabbath
but
is
slowing down and saying that we're not
I know,
going to
but-
toil
but-
for a
but
day.
But do you need? Why would you need a religion to get to that? Why would you need a religion to? Hey, let's not kill each other and take a day off. Like I don't need a threat or a guarantee for that. It's just so intrinsic. It sort of reminds me of the beginning of the Declaration of
but
Independence.
if it's intrinsic, then why is it that a lot of countries that don't have Christianity struggle to come to these realizations?
Right, yeah. Like I was saying, they have a hard time not stealing. They have a hard time not killing. They have a hard time just completely working themselves to the bones. And we see that it's very unhealthy. Like, all of these things are meant to actually take care of you, to help you have a better life, in my opinion.
For example, you know, communist China. Again, no Hitler analogies, right? Under Mao, which was resolutely atheist, right?
Resolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, no, I did a monologue in Religulous.
they might have Confucianism underlying it.
I did a monologue in Religulous about that very subject, which is the people who say, "Oh, Bill, these atheistic societies like North Korea," and no, those kind of societies, they just replaced the leader of the country for a god. They are not atheistic. When you look at what the North Korean people believe about Kim Jong-un,
It's a deification of
it's a
yeah.
I mean,
I completely
the
agree.
same that
Yeah, obviously North Korea, but China? I don't think so.
when he was born, winter turned to spring.
He'll be immortal in the heavens.
The first time he played golf, he got 11 holes in one. He invented the hamburger. I'm not making
That's
the,
more improbable than a virgin birth.
It is. It really is.
So we agree
I'm not
on that.
making this up, but they believe that. So don't tell me North Korea is
didn't
atheistic.
say
They're
North
not atheistic.
But they
He
there
changed
is-
the plot. China is.
there, in China at least, and of course in the Soviet Union, there was a anti-Christian movement, very hard.
Very hardcore.
Okay, so I guess like what code, and I'm not saying this sarcastically, like what code, what book do you think is best for humanity to live by? I say the Bible. What would you say? No, it's an important philosophical question,
I
right?
have a book called Not the Bible. I'm not
Okay.
kidding. There's literally...
So not loving your neighbor and not like, helping them.
No.
There's a lot of good stuff there.
Okay, but again...
Let me tell you why I'm
well,
asking.
you're cherry picking.
I'm
Come on, Charlie.
The story of the
Charlie,
Bible is
you
one
know-
of love and redemption. There's a lot in the Bible. It is. It's a story of love.
The Old Testament?
Well, the entire arc of the Bible is a story of love and a need for humans' redemption.
Well, that's a charitable way of looking at it, and that's in...
Yes, there are very crazy, awful things in the Bible, I would say, but a lot of times it's descriptive and historical writings. It's not saying that's something that you need to follow.
A lot of things in there because it's a giant anthology over centuries of many different writers.
There is a lot in the Bible.
It wasn't written by God, right?
There's a book of the Bible I think you'd love.
What?
Song of Solomon.
Song of Solomon. Crosby, Stills, and Nash?
Song of Solomon's all about sex.
I know.
So,
It is?
Yeah.
Quote it.
Can't. It's not appropriate. No.
What?
No. It's
It's too dirty for a podcast?
It literally is about how a husband and wife can grow intimate to one another, and there's.
Can you tell me that? Can you give me the cheat sheet on that one?
I'm telling you.
No, it's not. He just, I don't think he just can quote it. I don't know either, but just, I don't know like all the verses, but I remember reading it. It's just like Solomon is talking about his lover, maybe his wife, probably all 700 of them. He's talking about how the breast of this woman is like the antelopes flocking on the like a beauty of a gazelle. Like, it's super erotic, to be honest. I think that's funny.
The Bible has wisdom in ways you might never imagine, Bill. But no, what I'm getting at, though, is that this is not a gotcha or sarcasm. I mean this, like, humanity will seek to find a book. They'll seek to find a code to live by.
Well, okay,
and I think it's incumbent on atheists to tell us what that should be.
I agree with the first part of that. Humanity will seek to find.
Seek to know. That's Aristotle's first.
Well, seek to find something that mollifies their feelings. That's different than knowing. No, they don't really care about knowing. They care about mollifying their feelings. I feel empty. What will make me feel better? This book that purports to have answers it couldn't possibly have. But it does make me feel better because now I don't have to wonder about things that are very problematic to worry.
Okay, but what if that's because God has put that on our heart? We were all designed to know God and to have a relationship with God. What about that? Wow. So I think this is interesting. If you want to watch the entire podcast, please go check it out. If you want to, absolutely loved it. I don't know about you guys. Super, super interesting. Charlie Kirk did a great job pushing back. I wish he would have just said a few more things, so I tried to do my best. But if you haven't ever decided to follow Jesus, I encourage you to do that today. It will be the best decision you guys could ever make. Please, I encourage you to do that. In the description below, I encourage you to click the link in the bio to help you to decide to follow Jesus for the first time. And I hope Bill Maher will eventually come to know Jesus. That will be amazing.